Welcome back to Don't Miss the Conversation, where medicine, education, and leadership collide. Today's guest is someone my Cath Lab audience has been asking for years. If you've ever thought about transitioning into interventional radiology, or you're already in IR, those Cath Lab IR combos, and wish someone would just explain things clearly, this conversation is for you. Meet Annie, the founder of In the Loop, a radiologic technologist with her vascular interventional credential through ARRT, and the founder of a hospital-based IR training program, covering vascular, non-vascular, neuro, and a lot more. They're getting ready to graduate their 5th cohort this year. With 20 years of experience in the field, Annie carries a bachelor's in radiologic science, a graduate of UVA's School of Interventional Radiology, and is the incoming president of the Association of Vascular Interventional Radiographers, and serves as their current vice president. She spent years not just doing procedures, but building structured training for people walking into the IR suite for the first time. She is a wife and a mom of 2 toddlers, and now she's about to publish her first book. Today, we're talking about how to learn IR when it feels overwhelming, how to cross-train without drowning, and what education in procedural medicine actually requires, and then what it looks like to turn years of teaching into a tangible resource. So let's dive in. So Annie, welcome to Don't Miss the Conversation. We have a lot to talk about that I'm very excited for you today. I know, actually, is this your first podcast?
This is my first one.
Okay. You've done other like informal interviews, I guess.
Yeah.
You just haven't been
Some
recorded.
webinars.
Yeah. Lecture-based things, I guess, are best. So let's start off with teaching, because that's initially how we got connected online, I guess.
Yes.
When you helped build that hospital training program that we talk about in the intro, what problem were you initially trying to solve? Because that's kind of what our first interaction was about, because nobody was really doing that, at least in the IR space.
Yeah. So I was really trying to solve 2 problems at once. So we had a major staffing issue that we were filling with travelers, like everyone does, right? But we also had a preceptor burnout issue because we were training so many travelers to the space, and we're not really a plug and play hospital.
Yeah.
So we have comprehensive stroke. We're a level 1 trauma center. We do body IR, vascular IR. We do neuro IR. So you can't just take, I would say, a normal traveler and plug them into our system. So we were spending half the contract, training them just to be able to take call. And I think at that time, we probably did like 15 people in a year and a half.
Yeah, which is a lot. When was that, year-wise?
That was 2020.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
2019, because I started the program in 2020. So the problem issue was before that.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is not sustainable. The preceptors are getting burned out. We're putting so much work into these people to watch them walk out the door.
Yeah.
So it's discouraging. So I'm like, we just have to do something differently. We have to think outside the box. And then the idea was born of an internship program. I came from an internship program, and I've always thought that I've worked with brilliant people. And I'm like, we can do this. So let's just do it. So I went over to diagnostic radiology and talked about IR a little bit. And I said, hey, would any of you all be interested if we developed a program? Would you go through it? Because I wanted to make sure there was interest first.
Yeah. And that's where your people would come from. Right?
Yeah. That's where our
radiology.
People would come from.
Yeah.
So people are like, absolutely. We're just scared because it's so different. And, they don't want to be thrown to the wolves. So anyway, the idea was born. So, and it has solved our staffing issue mostly. Of course, we still have temporary staff, but the people that train through us stay with us for 2 years after. Right. So we're putting the work in, but we also get to work alongside them for a long period of time.
Yeah. And they're not even, the temp staff you have, it's not 15, it's not 15 full-time travelers, which expense-wise is very different.
Yes.
So like you said, they were intimidated, right? The general radiology was intimidated, as I get it, the unknown, right? So what are most people afraid of or worried about? Kind of either that stops them from working in IR, or when they work in IR, that first couple of months being like, I don't really know if this is for me.
I think it's the sheer volume of different procedures that we do. I think that's very intimidating. Just at my hospital, we're doing 50, 60 different procedures. So people see that, they see our book and they're like, wait, I have to know all of these things.
Yeah.
We work in every single organ system, and I have to know how this operates. I'm like, yes, but it's going to be okay, because once you learn the concepts behind it, you'll see that just even if we're in another organ system, we're still doing the same steps.
Right.
The needle might be longer, the wire might be smaller, but it's still the basics. So
it's when you say different meaning organ system, usually.
Yeah, different organ system. Yeah.
Like I said, everything goes over a wire,
Yes,
and it's a tube, some kind of tube that goes over some kind of wire.
Right.
But I understand when you want to learn things deeply and you are dealing with different organ systems, it is overwhelming. Well, why are we doing this, and how is it affecting this? And that I think is some of the nuance of it, but that's some of the fun of it too. Right?
Yes.
It's not going to be the same every day, and either you're that person or you're not that person, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
If a cath lab tech or nurse wanted to cross-train into IR tomorrow, where would they actually begin? So what would you, as an educator, teach them first, or what would you expect them to learn first?
Well, I think we would have to start with what is their scope going to be. So at different hospitals, you're going to have different responsibilities. But let's just say that person needs to be able to scrub and circulate, and they've never done it before. I would start with equipment.
Okay.
I would start with equipment. And then once we got the basics of equipment and the concepts of how equipment's used, then I would start with organ systems, because it would make more sense. You know, we are going to use this wire to access the IJ, then we're going to use, or this needle to access the IJ, then we're going to put the wire, and then you know how it's used.
Right.
And then build on the smaller procedures to the bigger ones.
Do you have a sterile technique class of any
absolutely.
kind? Because some will come from OR and have sterile technique, but not everybody will.
Yeah, we actually send our people through the OR training for sterile technique. That's within their first week. So they do the sterile technique training, and then we start with just basics of equipment. And then we start with central venous access. And then we'll go over, we'll expand on what the OR does, because they're not doing the same preps we are.
Right.
There's so many different preps, but we do a whole class on how to prep for different cases.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we start. And then we just build on top of that.
Well, it sounds like other department collaboration is part of the conversation.
Absolutely.
You can't just kind of be siloed. Everybody has, right? Either that's where the people are coming from, so that's where your audience is, I guess, that you're recruiting from, or they have some level of education to provide that you could provide, but they're going to do it a kind of a level up, because that's what they do every day, right? And it's also sometimes nice I know they're not students, I call them students, but from a student perspective, learning from someone different that isn't these people that you're working with every day, that isn't the same preceptor I have all the time.
Absolutely.
You know,
I always believe in bringing
mom and dad telling you things differently.
Yeah, I believe in bringing in the experts. Like even within the program, I teach a lot of the classes, but you're going to have people on staff that I know are going to do it better than I am. Yeah. So I'm going to bring them in. Like,
one person can't know everything.
No, they don't. Like even though a certain colleague of mine is incredible, he's the best at sterile technique. You know, so beyond that OR class, I'm like,
that's who's going to check you off.
Yes, that's who's going to check you off. Like, yes, I can do it too, but you're the best. So like, I want to provide them with the best education I can.
Yeah. And that's rare, and it's rare that a program thinks of it in a collaborative effort versus it all needs to be this person, even though this person is getting, some pay for it. Really, leadership needs to look at incentivizing everybody. So then you can pull people in and them feel a little more motivated to contribute besides just, I'm going to be working with these people.
Oh, yeah. I always tell people it takes our entire department to run this program.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I oversee it. And yes, I keep things organized, but it takes every single person on staff.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's sometimes a tough conversation for leadership.
Yeah.
So then speaking of, anybody who has taught knows there's a lot of unpaid hours. I think people think teaching is standing at the front of the room. And admittedly, when I was a student, I kind of thought that. I was like, teaching is so easy. They just show up and read from the PowerPoint. And some do. Some do that, right? But I don't think great educators do that. So what does that type of procedural education actually require behind the scenes before you come to work?
Yeah. I mean, of course, like anything else, it's extensive research.
Yeah.
Like, I want to provide people with accurate and up-to-date education. So I have tons of books about IR, but I also need to check what new guidelines have been released.
Yeah.
I don't want to steer them wrong. I don't want them operating in 1997 when we're here in like 2026. So just making sure that everything's accurate and up to date. And I think procedural education, we need to think beyond the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And
I could have a whole soapbox on that.
Yeah, we really have to think beyond it. So we have a ton of skills labs that we integrate. We have an incredible classroom that is big enough for us to set up a sterile environment.
And it lives there, so you don't have to like take it down. Put it back up.
It lives in a closet in there because it's a multi-use space because we also have a cardiac training program along with IR.
Right.
People also use the space for in-services, so I do need to clean up my things. But yeah, I'll bring everything out. We have sterile tables in there, so we can set up an entire tray. We can set up devices. We have mannequins that we can prep. So it's actually really nice. It's a great setup.
Yeah, and you're right. A lot of the behind the scenes is you don't decide what you're doing when you get there. You have to have it pre-decided, pre-researched. What are the key things that I'm going to highlight when they ask these questions, or if they're not asking these questions, what are my responses?
Yes.
If they want to learn more, where are they going to go? And I made that mistake when I first started teaching of not really realizing the full breadth of what new students come in, what they can ask you that you don't know. And you're like, oh, I didn't think you were going to ask that. Sorry.
Right. Oh, I've called our doctors just mid-lecture. And I'm like, I don't know that. But let's just give them a ring. Yeah. Like, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to put you on speaker because I don't know the answer to this. Yeah. And I really want it answered right now. They're like, sure. Or sometimes they'll even come down because our classroom's in the basement. So they'll come down. So trying to use my resources. Yeah.
And I think that's a good thorough way of putting in a lot of effort, because I think from a student perspective, I always wanted to put in more effort when I saw that my professor was putting in equal or more effort. It's hard to do it the other way around. Right. Yeah. So did you ever we'll be a little more specific here, because you did say you came across something you didn't know, you had to call somebody. Was there something that was very common practice for you that when you started teaching you realized was wrong? Or not yet? Because I feel like I have it every day.
I mean, it definitely happens. I trained at a place where everything, first of all, they had a ton of people in there learning. We've got medical students, we've got fellows, we've got residents. And there was a technologist training program. Because of that, the physicians decided we are going to do cases all the same. Every step was the same. So coming out of that environment, I was always taught this is how it's done. And I couldn't think outside of that. Oh. So that was hard. There is definitely different catheters we can use. There's definitely different steps. There's different approaches. There's different ways to treat things. So that was like the initial shock. Yeah. That things can definitely be done a certain way.
What if you don't have the things that you were trained with?
Right.
I think physicians struggle with that. They're trained a certain way and they come and are like, do you have any of these catheters? And they go, no. They're comparable, but there's that. Yes. Oh, but I've never been challenged to think that way before.
Yeah. So that was a big thing initially for me. But I think that a technologist has a great perspective because we get to scrub in with all the physicians. Right. And you can be like, well, I saw this doctor use this. Maybe we can try that. But from where I trained, everyone was the same.
Yeah.
So.
You almost have to teach how to be adaptable and flexible and think outside of the box. That's not that's how you should teach everything. You need some standardization, and standardization helps, but almost you need a course on if all of this goes wrong, if you don't have this available, what are you doing? And, and learning how to think like that.
Oh yeah. We have a full critical thinking class. Yeah. Where we talk about, different scenarios, and we'll bring up cases like, what would you guys do?
Yeah. We'll talk about what happened, but what would you do? And we'll see if it matches. Yeah. So shifting a little bit to the social media side of things, because that's newer for you in the last year, and it's very different. I mean, I've educated for a long time. You've educated for a long time, but it's very different on there. I'll say you don't get the face reactions. So the beauty of it is that it does expose you to different things, and exposes you to different things in different countries, which is even different regionally or physician on how we do things. Has there been anything or a conversation you've had that's come up that really resonated with you, where you were like, oh, wow, that's very different? And how was that, if you've had that yet?
Oh, I have that all the time. I've been at the same facility for 20 years. And
I forget that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Almost 20 years. So I had a very narrow view until social media started.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wasn't even aware that some nurses were scrubbing in IR cases.
I remember that. You were shocked.
Yeah. So where I trained when we rotated through the Cath Lab, the nurses scrubbed in and they had CBTs, RCIS. But in IR, it was the X-ray techs scrub in, the nurses sedate, like where I work. So just hearing that and hearing that like some Cath Lab people were cross-training, it's just not that way at my hospital. So that I was like, whoa, okay. Like, I just wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
And then the equipment is always what gets me, where people think, you use that? Like, we've been using this for 5 years. Like, you've never heard of, just hearing about different equipment that exists.
And they'll say something. I say, can you send me a link to that? Because I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I'm like, I've never heard of that in my life, but now I'm intrigued and need to know everything about it. So just learning about new equipment has been awesome too.
Yeah. And you learn so much, I think.
Yes.
And you could do it and not be as open-minded, but when you are open-minded and you ask people questions when they message you, instead of just taking their statement, right?
Yeah.
Just being like, oh, cool. But being like, hey, can you send me a link to that? What are you using that for?
Yes.
It just amplifies your knowledge, and then we'll get to it. But then when you make books and resources, you can kind of pass on that knowledge where these people aren't talking to each other, but you're talking to both of them. So you can find a way to integrate all of it. And I think it elevates the experience for everybody, right? So have you applied any of that to your practice?
Oh, definitely the equipment stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm like, hey, have you heard of this? Do you guys want to order it? And they're like, wow, I've never heard of it either. And we have started to get new equipment in that we didn't know even existed before. So that has been a good thing.
Yay, patient care.
Yay!
It helps. And it helps when someone like you gets a say in what's being ordered too. You know, of be open to things beyond just what physicians want, because sometimes they want to experiment with things too.
Yeah.
So at some point, posts and quizzes on social media aren't enough. I mean, that could be what you want to do all the time, and that's fine. But like I said, when you can create something with that knowledge and being on both ends of the conversation, I think is more impactful, right, than just posting. So when did you realize that you wanted to make a book, and how long ago did you start building it more intentionally? Because it could always be up here and not necessarily actually starting the process.
Yeah, I think when it became glaring to me is when people started asking me, well, what should I get? Like, how am I gonna learn this? What should I buy?
Yeah.
And
I want a solution.
Right. And I didn't have something where I'm like, buy this, right? I'm steering them to 3-4 different places. I'm like, okay, this is a good site for some modules, but it doesn't have a lot of angio pictures or anatomy. So go to this textbook for that. But that textbook's geared towards physicians. So that's like a higher level.
Yeah.
So get the pictures from this, the content from that. Oh, there's also podcasts. So there's also some good information about step-by-step over here. So I'm like, okay, let's just create one resource where kind of all of that is together.
Yeah. For the not just the tech, 'cause it's going to be nurses also, but for the staff perspective.
Yeah.
Is what I like to say. Because you're right. There are a lot of resources that are great and they serve their purpose. And I feel like for so long, we've all just adapted it to the purpose that we need.
Yeah.
Right. Versus somebody being like, there's something wrong with this. Like, obviously something's missing. So how do we fix that? Right. And how do we make a resource that is home base, right, for the actual staff, not staff trying to adapt other resources to what they do. Not that it doesn't serve a purpose. It does serve a purpose, but
absolutely,
it's not what gets them out the gate foundationally.
Yes. Yeah. Like, we need to start here.
Right. All the stuff that you're actually teaching and they're actually doing.
Yes.
I agree. So normally when like you said, a lot of research goes into teaching. And normally when I research something for my books, I have all of the books open, all the available books and like 48 tabs. So when you're writing something this high value, very guideline specific, how are you fact checking yourself and then simplifying that? Because you do have a world of information, international information now. How are you kind of funneling that down to something that is approachable and not overwhelming?
Right. So I have my big box of books that comes out first. Okay. So if I'm working on a section, I'm going to flip every single book. Sometimes it's even 10 of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to flip to that section. I make a stack of all the open books and I go through that. And I have a template for my outlines, of course. And I'll start with that. Then I move to the computer work where I'm researching the medical journals and everything like that. I think the key is, because all of that is very high level information.
Yeah, it is.
I try to explain it to my husband or my friends that are not in the healthcare field. And that, I think, works best because they have no idea. And it forces me. Mm-hmm. It forces me to explain it in a way that anyone could understand.
Yeah.
So I think that's been the key, where I'm writing it at a level I can understand. But I'm like, hey, Linz, do you want to learn how to set up a sterile tray today? She's like, okay.
I mean, I think that's fun. That's why some people teach their kids, how to do things. And it isn't that, I mean, people are coming in with some foundational knowledge, but I've always said this is if you're approach it up here, they will shut you out versus approaching down here to just have the foundation to then have a higher level conversation when they're ready.
Yeah. And if it's too complex, I think people are just going to shut down anyway.
Yeah. It gets very boring very fast.
Yeah. And you're like, I don't even know what that word means.
Yeah.
So they're complete shutdown from the beginning. And I don't want that.
Yeah. Nobody does. You can learn the terminology, but you have to learn the application, I think, and the background first a little bit. Do you, I think you do. You are going to have, you can show us some pages. You are going to have references, right?
Oh,
where if they want more, right, they can go get more.
Yes.
And it's important for the international people to know, like, hey, this is a US guideline because like I would say LATAM and Asian guidelines are a little ahead. They get some of that equipment first and they've been using it for a while. So then they make some best practices and then we try our own thing and then we adapt some of that over here and then everybody can agree. And then we have an expert consensus where everybody had a conversation. But when you're reading, not everybody like us are reading all of those things.
Yeah.
Right. So you can kind of pick and choose and go a little excerpt of, oh, and by the way, like you could do this or this person messaged me this and it is on label, but you could try this way if you wanted to. And it's a nice place to see all of those perspectives where it isn't one-sided.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And physicians' books are written by physicians, so they have how they do things versus you don't have a way you do things. You're like, here's how everybody does these things. And if you want to think outside the box more, that's available to you.
Of course.
Who did you picture holding this book in their hands? A new tech, cross-training nurse, a student, now that you've kind of learned the different people in the lab?
I think anybody, really. To get into IR, your background is either going to be radiology, it could be Cath Lab, it could be nursing. So we all need the same basic knowledge at the beginning. So really anybody could pick it up. Of course, I picture technologists picking up because that's what I am.
Right.
But upon learning that labs operate differently, it could be anybody.
Yeah. I don't know on the radiology side of things what fellow training looks like there, but do you think there's some value for fellows too?
Oh, absolutely. In the beginning.
Yeah.
You've got to bridge the gap between everything they learned in diagnostic and, they're expected to learn how to mix their own embolics and things like that. And maybe the attending doesn't really have the time to be doing some hands-on training with them. So I think that could be good in that regard.
That's true. They might they might be able to do it and never really had an explanation. They're just like, I know you do this. And
right.
That's the end of that. Right. A lot of fellows just yearn for education. So I think it's a good resource for them too.
Yeah.
Because, like we said, a lot of people walk in and are very overwhelmed. How emotionally, what do you hope it provides people?
I hope they get the feeling that they're going to be okay and that we're going to be in it together. Like, I hope they pick up the resource and they feel like they found a preceptor who can answer their questions.
That. Yeah. I like that. Straightforward, not overwhelmed. Supported,
Of course.
yes, is a good one. And like we said, this podcast does touch a little bit of business too. I have some of those segments because education is a business decision, and healthcare is a business, whether or not we want to see that part. It is part of it, right? Mm-hmm. What surprised you the most about turning your knowledge into a product? Was it easier than you thought once it kind of got going? Was it there a lot you didn't realize you need to consider? Because in my opinion, I think you want to build a business and you want to build longevity, not just be a one product person. And I think you will be successful because of that. So what surprised you?
Oh, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. For sure. Definitely.
You're a mom, are you sure?
I don't know. This is really, yeah. But it's humbling, right? Like, it's definitely harder than I thought it was going to be because, yes, I know a lot about interventional radiology, but I do not know a lot about running a business. But I know how to use resources. Yeah. And I'm open to learning.
I agree with that. You're very open to learning.
Open to learning. But it's been humbling. But like any educator, I hope other educators love learning too. So just learning, if nothing else, I've learned so much about running a business that...
Well, I think you learn a lot. Weird, because I was still working when I had this, and you're still working while you're doing this. You learn a lot about leadership and corporate decision making, I think. Yeah. And documentation and legalese when you're doing it. And you're like, oh, I can see why we added that here, why they came in and talked to us about this. You see things a little differently.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I don't, maybe it makes you a better healthcare worker, in that aspect, whether you expected it or not. Yeah. But you have to lead with integrity and do things the right way, both ways. There are both ways in healthcare and business. There are cheaper, easier ways to do things. There are shortcuts. Course. Yeah. And I think healthcare workers are very primed. Good healthcare workers are primed to be good business people because you're challenged with that all the time. Right? Like think of all the things that we see and that you're asked to do. And you're like, oh, I could just do it that way. Yeah. But it like pains me to
I know. It. Well, just how different procedures are done in the hospital versus outpatient, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And you're like OBLs.
Yeah. And so we'll say that too. This is, I don't know. You can answer that for me. It's both for in-hospital and outpatient. Yeah. Because outpatients is a big part of IR. Yeah. My understanding anyway. Did you have to put any boundaries in place to protect your time while you were building this? Because you are working full time. You are a mom with 2 kids and a wife. We care about our spouses, but it takes a lot of stolen hours in the night.
I need a lot more time if anybody can figure that out for me. But very clear boundaries, right? I want to give 100% to whatever I do. And I knew when I took this on that sacrificing time with my children was not an option. Yeah. That was number one. So I said, how can I do this? And I still want to give 100% to my full-time job and my students there that I love so much. Where are we going to do this? So where does it come into play?
There's only 24 hours.
There's only 24 hours in the day. So it's after the kids go to bed is when I'm cracking books open, I'm getting up earlier than I normally would to make stuff for social media. Yeah. So we're cramming it in late hours, early mornings, but we're getting it done. Nap time.
Yes. Quietly lay there, please, while I post this quiz on the internet.
Right.
But you have to. Yeah. It doesn't happen without effort. And, some people are overnight viral successes, and congratulations to them. But building something, I don't think people realize how many of hours go in and hours that didn't really exist in your normal routine.
Oh yeah.
And you can't do it if you don't love it, because it's not fun if you don't love it.
Oh, you have to be passionate about it. There's no way I could stay up till midnight multiple nights a week. Yeah. And then get up at 5:30.
Yeah, for something that you don't enjoy, right. And you didn't think brings value. So I know you're worried about that whiteboard next to you, so go ahead and pull that out. Okay. So it's whiteboard, cloth, and then a marker somewhere. Did it get in the crack? So to close things out, I do have a segment called Write It, Reveal It. You haven't seen these. Nothing crazy. I'm just going to give you a prompt. You write one word that comes to your mind, reveal it on the count of 3. Sound good?
Perfect.
Okay, good. You don't have a choice. One word that describes IR.
Oh my gosh. This is day one.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
It got better.
Overwhelmed. Yeah. I think that's relatable, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be good. I hope the people who write, I'm amazing, I'm concerned for.
Oh no, but I knew I belonged there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I started
aligned but overwhelmed.
Oh yeah, I started in radiology because I thought I wanted to do ultrasound.
Oh, a lot of people do that. A lot of people, even on our side, are like, oh, I want to do echo.
Yeah, and so I went through a program where we got to do every single modality, which was great, or at least rotate through. And I rotated through ultrasound. I was like, oh, it's so warm in here and quiet.
Not for me.
Not for me.
It's
and then
very dark.
My next rotation was IR, and like the music was going and the people were loud, just like me. And I was like, I belong here.
These are my people.
Yeah, these are my people.
How about one word that defines this book? Or what you hope it will be.
That defines it?
Yeah. If you had to give it a word. That's a long one. Okay. Approachable.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. Last one. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
One word that describes this season of your career. 2026, Annie. Who is she? For better or for worse?
This season. Besides being tired?
Tired could be one. Somebody's put that before. I think that's fair.
Tired, but I'm learning so much.
You could do a phrase.
I'm going to put tired because I don't want to put that.
Be honest. It's okay if you're tired. Put tired.
I am tired.
You can be happy and tired. Yes. That's everybody who works in the lab would probably say like, yeah, I'm tired. Should I put that? Yes, you should.
Yeah, my kids are 2 and 4.
Yeah. If you're not tired, it's too perfect, you know.
But it will all be worth it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, for opening up a little bit. I think everybody should really look forward to what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And if you know off the top of your head, because I don't, what is the social handle that people can find you at?
InTheLoop.ir.
Loop with 2 O's. Like
yes.
Loop.
Yes. Like looping a wire.
Yes, exactly. At InTheLoop.ir is where you can find Annie if you have any further questions, if you have questions about her upcoming book. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
This conversation reminds us that procedural medicine doesn't just require skill, it requires structure. And if you're walking into IR feeling overwhelmed, let this episode be your reminder that no one masters this overnight. They learn it intentionally over time. If you found value in today's conversation, share it with someone cross-training or stepping into the IR lab for the first time, and follow Don't Miss the Conversation wherever you enjoy listening and across all of our social media channels. And Annie, congratulations on building something that will outlive the walls of the procedure room. It is a book everybody needs to look forward to.